why don't we get going and call the Northwest Suburbs Cable Commission's meeting to order? Thank you, and I assume you've got the roll, Wendy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, first item are the consent agenda. The minutes from the February 15th meeting, which were in your packet, and the treasurer's report, which is in your packet. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Joni. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Alrighty, first, insurance liability waiver.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a formality, but certainly a very important one. Each year, the Northwest Suburbs Cable Commission votes to not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability. The liability is established by statute 466.04. By doing this action, you are affirming that the Northwest Suburbs Cable Communications Commission simply requests liability coverage equal to the statutory limits. And we are insured, like many cities, through the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, and will be asked to sign a liability waiver form to either waive or not to waive the monetary limits. So we are requesting that the Northwest Suburbs Cable Commission vote to not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability.
Thank you. And this is an annual event.
I move approval.
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Julie. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, next, open at large appointment to the Northwest Cable TV Board.
Yes, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, Chair Al Mattson could not make the meeting this morning, but he does have a memorandum attached here, and basically, when George Lessard announced that he would not be seeking another term on the Northwest Suburbs Cable Communications Commission at the start of 2018, he was also ending his service on the Northwest Community Television Board of Directors. This is like basically an open at-large seat that was appointed. All the open at-large seats are appointed by the Cable Commission. So it is responsibility of this board or the commission to appoint the NWCT at-large board positions. Two Cable Commission members expressed interest. The two members that Chairperson Mattson interviewed were Roger Bergman and Daryl Sanis. Both of these commission members are excellent candidates for the position, but at this time we only have one opening, and Al is recommending that we appoint Daryl Sanis to fill the position at this point.
Thank you. All right. Both Daryl and Roger are here. Thank you for your interest. Do you have any comments you want to make, or does anyone else want to?
Carol will do a good job.
Thanks, Roger.
We have peace.
Is that it? We want to keep peace in the valley? All right. Is there a motion to make an appointment to fill this vacancy? Thank you, Roger. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dwayne. Further discussion to appoint Daryl to the Northwest Cable TV Board? Right. Oh, Daryl's got to step down? Oh, Dwayne, that's right. He's not on the right.
Oh, I'll
Yes,
second.
that's right.
Right.
Jay, thank you,
Okay.
Jay, for stepping in. All right, so now we're good with
Thank you,
proceeding
Wendy.
with appointing Daryl.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, and thank
you.
you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
All righty, next, update on banking fees.
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Deschler mentioned at our February meeting that the City of Crystal had recently conducted a detailed review of their banking fees with Wells Fargo. The city was able to obtain some savings in the fees during this review process, and suggested that we may want to meet with Wells Fargo to renegotiate, excuse me, it's early in the morning yet, to renegotiate our fee structure. Prior to meeting with Wells Fargo, both Wendy Brierly and I met with Jean McGann, who is the CPA and president of AEM Financial Solutions. Jean McGann is working as on a contractual basis with the City of Crystal as their interim finance director, and is the person who was successful in obtaining basically lower banking fees by renegotiating some of these fees with Wells Fargo. We reviewed our banking fee information with Jean, and she shared with us some suggestions on ways to save money with these fees, and also suggested we contact the Wells government Wells Fargo government banking representative that works directly with the city of Crystal. We met with two representatives, actually, I think it was just last week, from the government banking division of Wells Fargo. And they felt confident that they will be able to lower our fees through various methods. We're very happy about that. And they actually had one method instantly by raising our earning credit limit percentage, which basically the more things you are doing in terms of banking processes and procedures and the amount of money you have in the account can give you a higher percentage, which in turn gives you lower fees. I know it seems strange, but it actually works, and I know that's the same case with Crystal. They are in the process of evaluating all of our accounts and services that we use, and will be meeting with us again to further define ways we can lower overall banking fees. So Wendy and I came out of that meeting very confident that that was going to happen. Of course, they certainly don't want to. I don't think at any time Wells Fargo wants to lose anybody's business, and somebody here suggested I wear a U.S. Bank shirt during the negotiation process. I didn't have to do that. It was Jay, thank you. I'd like to thank Commissioner Deschler for pointing that out, and for Ann Norris for coordinating our meeting with Jean. I have written a thank you note to Jean for all of her insight and expertise on this matter. So that's just basically an update. Any questions about that?
Thank you. Thanks, Julie, for bringing that up.
Thank you for doing that.
All right, let's see, cable and telecommunications update, are you handling that?
Yes, just briefly, I just attached some a memorandum from Comcast. We're very excited today because we have a Comcast rep here, and we'll introduce her in a moment. I also have attached some articles on 5G wireless. This is, again, you know, we've been talking about this issue for quite a while. We're talking about the importance of 5G wireless and how it will really make our cities so-called smart cities. But this whole 5G deployment comes with a price. It's not just it's just going to happen magically. I mean, obviously, a lot of antennas need to be put in throughout your cities on telephone poles, and it's basic. It doesn't mean, and I think I may have mentioned this before. It does not mean that cell phone towers, as we know it, goes away, because really. These small cells even connect with these large cell phone towers as well. So the small cell sites, little individual antennas that can range in size from this cup over here that Wendy has on her table here to the size of a transmission device that's the size of like maybe a small type refrigerator. So it is something that is, there are aesthetic issues related to that, and so it is important for cities to be aware of that and, of course, have various policies in place. We've included a great article about that, and then showing you some of the pictures of what some small, quote-unquote, cell antennas may look like. So we just always want you to be aware of this technology, and also because right now at the FCC level, they're saying, they're basically saying, well, we don't want local governments to stand in our way of this deployment. And certainly, I don't think local governments want to stand in the way and prevent it, but I think it's the local government's job to make sure that it's done in a proper way, a safe way, and an aesthetically pleasing way too, because I know that all of the city's representatives here, all of you do care about what your city looks like, what the streets look like, what's on the telephone poles, and that's why we bring this information to you, just to be on top of that. So again, it's simply just for your information purposes at this point. I'd like to introduce Kate Hensing, who's a Comcast rep and one of the newest residents of the Northwest Suburbs. She moved out to this area. Maybe she heard good things about our programming, because I know she's complimented our organization many times. And Kate is going to just give us a general update of what's happening at Comcast. So take it away, Kate.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for inviting me to your meeting today. It's great to be here. One thing I wanted to let you guys know is we have a Leaders and Achievers Scholarship. It is one student in every school can be nominated by a principal, a superintendent, or a teacher, because the student's very active in the community, volunteers, trying to do everything they can to make the community better. So I'm really happy to announce that we have 8 students from the Northwest Suburbs that are receiving $1,000 scholarships, and we're having the event tonight at the Capitol. So all of students will be there with their state elected official to take a photo with their family and their principal that nominated them. So that event's tonight, and I'll provide you all the photos and the list of the students that are receiving the scholarship recognition. Also, in your packet, you'll see we've been doing a lot of updates to our X1 product. And we just added Sling. We've been adding apps throughout the last couple of years to our X1 box. We recently just added Sling TV. We know a lot of folks have subscribed to Sling, so we've added that. We also have YouTube, which has been very popular, especially in cable commissions, because a lot of cable commissions are streaming. So now they can just watch it from their TV. We'll also be adding additional apps. I can't announce any yet, but we'll be adding more throughout the year because we understand that cable's changing. And we are trying to be as innovative and invest in that as much as possible because we know that customers are changing their minds on how cable works. It's kind of my update.
Okay, I did want to mention too, and thank Comcast. I've said this in maybe some previous meetings, but we are kind of like the first line of any cable complaint that gets beyond the cable company. And our staff here, including like Wendy and Cindy and Trudy, take in the calls from customers who may be upset about a problem. I look at the amount of cable subscribers on our system, close to approximately 70,000 in that range. We average a couple a month. And I will say this, that their escalation department does a top-notch job. I mean, they've literally solved all the complaints that we give to them, and they do it in a very quick manner. And the communications is very good. Obviously, you guys remember the old days in the 80s and maybe 90s where things were very difficult. But Comcast has got a great system in place for handling this, and because they want to retain customers too. So we feel like we're helping. We're helping each other. We're helping to retain these customers by being acting as a liaison between us and the cable company. And I just want to say hats off to them, and I hope please share that with some of the executives at your offices.
I will.
Because it's
Thank
an amazing.
you. Thank you for providing that information.
And thank you for your report. I just didn't know if anybody had any.
Does anyone have any questions for Kate? Or Mike, does that matter? All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your
Thank you, Kate.
report. All right, is there other business for the Cable Commission? That's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thanks, Julie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Now we'll move into the Northwest Community Television Board of Directors meeting. Let's see, we've got a consent agenda on that as well. The minutes from February 15th and the treasurer's report, very similar to the last one. Is there a motion for that consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second.
Didn't you move it? Oh, no.
No, I did.
Oh, okay, so both that same direction. Thank you. All right. Further discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, Executive Director report, you're on.
Yes, we've got a lot of exciting news to report today. Most of it's obviously coming from my great management team that I have here, who've got some really interesting things to mention. Of course, Barb is going to get into detail, but I think when you walked in here this morning, you walked in the building, you probably noticed a little different look and feel about some of basically the interior remodeling project that took place. And the main thing I want to say about that, Barb will go into details, but I just want to thank Tamisha Toure from the Create Department staff. She is really has an attention for details, and she's the one who basically worked directly along with Jamie Anderson, who's our Technical Services Manager, to help bring this project to fruition and thinking of all the little details. And so certainly if any of you have time at the end, Barb and her staff will just kind of show you some of the updates that were done over there. But it definitely looks a lot better. So hats off to the crew, and you'll see some more information in a few moments. Of course, I informed you, maybe a month or so ago, about the retirement of the other Mike Johnson. So that puts a lot of, I've been getting a lot of notes from board members about all the pressure it's going to be for me to be the only Mike Johnson here. But Mike is here in the room, and Dave's going to talk about Mike in a little bit, but I definitely want to thank Mike for all of his years of service, 13 years, which I mentioned in my email about a month ago. And I also want to thank Mike especially for giving us a good solid 2 months notice versus a 2 weeks notice. And that is helpful because then we began the search process. We didn't have to look very far because we found a needle in a haystack right in our own office, and that's with Shannon, and Dave's going to talk a little bit about that and the whole transition process. We're very excited to have Shannon take over this role. She's currently working with Mike, and Dave will explain that further. But Mike, I thank you for all that you have done for this organization and all the news stories that have been thousands of stories that he's either introduced, part of them he's produced himself and gone out, jack of all trades, done everything, camera, just interviewing, anchoring, news directing. It's pretty rare because in the world of news directing, sometimes you just have somebody who sits there and screams at the reporters. This is not the case with Mike Johnson, quote unquote news. He's a super duper guy, nice guy, and I think that bodes well because we oftentimes get people saying, well, so what's, you guys have a lot of turnover here? And the answer is no. We have very little turnover. And I think that bodes well for the management structure here and the board and the support we get from you and the Cable Commission. So we'll hold off any applause for Mike in a few minutes. I'll leave that up to Dave, but I just wanted to put my own personal 2 cents in there, and of course welcome Shannon into that. I also want to mention that we received we have some awards for the Severide Awards out there. We have 4 plaques, 2 first place for our news program, and then also some other entries that we made on a volunteer week spot. And anyway, they're out there, and unfortunately, the night of the awards ceremony, I think it was Shannon was going to be, there was going to be, I think, John Jacobson. That was the night of the big storm, that late April, was it April or March? It was April. The famous April snowstorm where we literally could not go and collect our own awards. The ceremony still went on because this conference and awards thing is based in, I think it's like a 5-state area, upper Midwest area. And so a lot of the people from outstate, including maybe northern Minnesota and southern Minnesota, were there. It was held at a hotel, so they were already there. So they did read off our names, but nobody was able to pick them up because nobody wanted to drive on the slippery road. So I sent out a urgent text message to Shannon and John saying, yeah, we may not want to try to risk it because the roads were really, really bad, as you recall. And then Barb's going to tell you about some great recognition we just received, I think just over the weekend, from the Wisconsin Community Media. She'll go into more details there. And I think one other thing, the audit field work wrapped up last week. I think they're in the process of still working on all the papers, and so I believe the audit will be presented at our September meeting, which will be the 3rd Thursday in September. And again, if you want to stick around at the end to take a little tour of what's happening over on the Create remodel, that would be great. Are there any questions before I pass it on to Dave? Perfect, Dave, take it away.
Thank you, Mike, and I'll hold the microphone here for recording purposes. But before I get to some of the slides that we do have, Mike did a great job telling you a little bit about Mike and Shannon, but it is a sad time for our news department, but a wonderful opportunity for both Mike as he moves on to spend a lot of time with grandkids, and then Shannon, again, great opportunity for us to do some new things in the news department and move some things in some new directions that Mike and I actually have been working towards, so it's a wonderful transition. So wanted to give them both a chance just to say a word or two. I know you are familiar with microphones, so Mike.
He's never spoken in a microphone before. But here we go.
Well, just thank you for 13 years of opportunity here. I don't think I ever thought it would be 13 years, but the time goes pretty fast. You go one project, the next project, and before you know it, 13 years have passed, and you start to think, and I have 6 grandchildren that Dave mentioned, and I acquired some new golf clubs 2 years ago, and they need to be used. So anyway, it's been quite an opportunity. I learned a lot because I'd never held a management position in a newsroom before, although this will mark about 40 years in news, in the news business. So there was a lot to learn, and I learned some of it, and there'll be a lot more to learn, and she'll pick it up real quick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now the applause. And Shannon has been with us 10 years in the role of a reporter and worked up through the ranks, helping us out on a part-time basis to begin, and then kind of part-time, full-time throughout the time period in those 10 years. And so we're very excited to have Shannon join us in the management realm. And again, with Mike's great announcement here giving us 2 months, that's given us some great time to do an interview process to work with Shannon. And Shannon's actually working about a day and a half now on some management things along with continuing to report. So it's been a wonderful transition. And she just met with Mike and I again yesterday on another step of the process and had some wonderful ideas about some of the summer series we're going to be doing to move things on after our school spotlight, which I'll mention, and also some ideas moving ahead. So Shannon, microphone for a second or two.
I'd like to say I'm very excited about the opportunity, but I know I have very big shoes to fill. One of the first, it might not have been the first story, but the first time I was here about 10 years ago, I remember going out to a small crime scene in one of our communities. It wasn't a big deal, but everybody was there. And the police captain stepped up and he was like, "Is Mike Johnson here yet?" And so he wouldn't start his press conference until Mike was here. And I thought, who is this guy? And everybody knows who he is. So I know I have big shoes to fill. But I'm very excited about the opportunities we have. We have a talented staff. We really do. And so it's really harnessing that talent and moving forward in ways that are exciting and new. So we look forward to working with you guys. We see a lot of familiar faces around the table. So please keep sending us those great story ideas because we love being out in your communities and telling their story. Thanks.
So you'll be hearing much more of the news changes as we move forward. I'll direct your attention to the screen and a couple updates we have from the program area. The first is the website. When we last met in February, we were just on the cusp of launching the new website. It is launched successfully and doing very well. The numbers are going very well. We certainly have rebounded from some of the changes in the branding and the name, which again takes a little time for people to get used to, but now the website is gaining quite the momentum. And one of the neat things it's gaining is momentum within Minnesota. And that's something we're tracking very closely. Is we love to have viewers of our website and our content from throughout the country and throughout the world, which does happen. But we really love to have viewers and attention from the northwest suburbs and from Minnesota. And those numbers continue to rise in a number of different areas of social media, YouTube as well. So that's the homepage of the website. And again, our 4 main areas are noted on the front page, news, sports at the top. And if you go to the next slide, cities and create. Again, there's a key image of the main story, the most recent story in all of the areas. They all are playable, so you can click on the play button and watch the YouTube of that particular story. And then additional stories listed below. Also an area at the bottom of the screen for us to put announcements and some other things that are happening within the communities. And graduation's obviously big right now, so we're doing a lot of that. Move to the next couple pages. One of the exciting things that we have worked with on this website is city-specific pages. And so if you click on cities, you'll get a list of all of our 9 cities, and if you click on one of the city's logos, this is where you end up. So, for example, with the city of Brooklyn Park, this is all specific Brooklyn Park information and stories that come from our connection program and also from other departments and news, of course. And so you see the top or most recent 5 stories about the city of Brooklyn Park. And I'll explain how this linking is working a little bit further. If you go to the next slide there, Sean, this moves you down the page, and so we have announcement areas specific to that city. So Tater Days is obviously coming up, so you see we can put a banner specifically in Brooklyn Park's area about Tater Days, and if they click on the Learn More, they get full information about the event that's coming up. On a regular basis on that page, you'll also at the bottom find the connection stories specifically about that city. So all of the recent stories from the connection that have been produced, and then the mayor's minutes and more. So that could be a state of the city presentation. It could be another event that happens in a city that will land on that city for a longer period of time. Sean, one more slide. At the bottom of that city page, this is now where your council meetings and city meetings live as well. So all in one page, all of this information. If you click on the click here under city meetings, obviously you go to the Granicus that people are familiar with and able to see the different meetings, agendas within the various cities. And we also have a direct link to the city's websites as well. So for all 9 cities, they have this same process if you go to our website. And one of the great things that's happened, and this was something in our plan 3 years ago when we started talking about the rebranding, wouldn't it be neat at some point that if we could make a CCX Brooklyn Park, a CCX Plymouth logo that the cities then could place on their own website that could take people directly to their content within our system. So if you go to the next slide, this is an example of the homepage of the city of Maple Grove, and if you look in the lower right corner, or a little bit up from the right, you see CCX Maple Grove video updates. So that is on the homepage of the Maple Grove website, and if residents click on that link, it takes them right to their Maple Grove page, which I just stepped through from Brooklyn Park. And so they are able to see all the latest videos, get to their meetings, get to announcement about upcoming community events that are happening. We'll page through a couple more cities here because we have 4 now that have put this on. This is the city of Plymouth's page. You see where it's Stay Connected down in the lower left. You see the CCX Plymouth logo there as well. They're able again to click on and go to their information. Next page is the city of Robbinsdale, I believe. So you see the Robbinsdale homepage, their display of pictures in the top, and right below that you see CCX Robbinsdale. So again, gets you right to the city information. And finally we have the city of Osseo. And thank you, Riley and Osseo. They thought, why not put it in a couple places? So you see it in the lower right. You see the CCX Osseo, that it's the video updates. But if you look very closely up towards the top where they have the social media icons, it is there as well. And at the bottom of the page, they have social media icons another time, and it's there as well. So again, multiple ways if you're from the city of Osseo to be able to click on and be able to get right to your information. So thank you to the cities. We have sent out the information to all of the 9 cities, and some are in the process, as we were, of making a new website. So we understand how that process works, and they're holding it until their new website is launched. So we hope within the coming months that it will be on all of the 9 cities. So thank you for your help with that. And again, we hope that's a way that it's more efficient for the cities as well, because in the past we would send video links to the cities that they would have to post themselves in some place on their website. Now there's not that need to do that. They just click on the logo and all of the links are already there from our information, from what we do on our staff. So thank you again to the cities. One other note with the cities, and again, upping the viewership of people here from Minnesota, Steve Brockhouse does a lot of work for us on our events, but also on our social media. And this is a little tough to read, but it's Google AdWords, and we've been experimenting with a campaign to try to get CCX out in front of people in various cities. And we piloted it with Plymouth and Maple Grove and also with Prep Sports. So if you look at the lower left bottom of the screen, you see the note where it says, stay up to date in Plymouth, Minnesota, new content daily on CCX Media. And what we have done is we have worked with Google AdWords, and when people search for Plymouth, Minnesota, they see an ad that pops up right underneath their search that says stay up to date in Plymouth, CCX Media, and they can click on that. And so the chart on the top is tracking some of those clicks. It's just started in Maple Grove and also in Plymouth. It's also with Prep Sports. It's a little hard to read, but the numbers are starting to build. So again, we're getting that extra exposure, and our mission vision is to be known by all in the area, and this is another avenue where we know people are searching for your city government information and for Prep Sports information, and if we can have CCX Media in front of that, we think, again, more people will understand what we are and the value that we have to the communities. So another avenue that we're looking to put information out. I've got 4 video updates for you. We'll walk through quickly here. One of the most exciting is tonight, and this may be why Al's not here. He's getting ready for a big evening tonight because the Maple Grove Historical Preservation Society is going to host us for the unveiling of the Maple Grove history video. So Matt Kilby has been working many, many hours on interviewing people from Maple Grove, getting shots throughout Maple Grove, going through I don't know how many history books from Maple Grove to find information. So I'll show you just the first minute or so of Maple Grove history.
It was a lot of area with a lot of trees. Most prominent tree was maple, and used for many different things, including making maple syrup, which became a tradition for a lot of the local farmers if they had maple trees.
We were a township back in the 1850s when this area was founded by Pierre Bottineau and then Louis Gervais. Pierre played a critical role, maybe more so than Louis. He played a critical role as an early settler, establishing, this whole area. From the 1850s to 1954, we were a township. 54, we became a village, and then in 1974, we became a city.
My great-grandfather came over here to America at age 19. He homesteaded in 1856 and 80 acres and bought another 80 for $1 an acre. Population in 1880 was only like 1,100. As the land opened up, people came from the east usually and moved into the area, a farming area. So people who were interested in farming settled here. Farming was a few cattle, a few probably hogs, chickens, whatever was needed. You were pretty self-supporting in your food. There were Indians. There have been Indian mounds found. My great-grandfather, who was one of the earlier homesteaders, talked about Indians coming to his door asking for food.
So there's the first minute or so of Maple Grove history. And again, the idea behind the History Project is to get those in the city that might not know anything about the history of the city and whet their taste buds to learn a little bit more. And at the end of the piece, it tells them how to contact the Historical Society and become a member of the society. Because again, that group, like I know many other groups in the area communities, are looking for younger people to carry on that torch of some of those ideas. And so we're very excited to have that completed. The next city is the city of Plymouth. We've already done a few calls on that, so we'll give Matt a breather for about a week or so, and then on we go to the city of Plymouth and more history to be discovered. So we're very excited about that. Next, we're going to take a look at one of the school spotlights, and again, thanks to Mike and the leadership and the staff, unbelievable project this year of going to 70 public schools here in the northwest suburbs, kindergarten through 12th, to try to find out what happens inside those doors, to let people know you drive by that school every day, but what really does the school do? Here's an example of one that was done recently. This is the Highview Alternative School out of Sandburg.
Highview serves about 180 students ages 16 to 21 and is located in Sandburg Middle School. Students can work at their own pace and focus on earning the credits they need.
Our approach is to work personally with the students, see what their goals and aspirations are, see what their talents and strengths are, and then connect the personalized high school program to those talents and strengths.
Students also have increased exposure to college and career readiness skills.
Everybody thinks that students have computer skills because they know how to use their phone.
But here, students are learning tools like Excel and Google Docs, so their tech skills can be more workplace savvy. Students also participate in a variety of college and career fairs and interview opportunities, all in an effort to make the process less intimidating. At one of the last speed networking events, one of Highview's success stories was there.
In 2015, I was still expecting that I would be a high school dropout.
When he came here, he was going to quit school.
Then in 2016, I met Miss V.
But teachers like Miss V or Linda Valentine saw potential and pushed.
I know what you can do, and I'm not taking this. Do it over. And he was really mad at me for about a week, but I got really good stuff from him from that point forward.
Now he's a scholarship recipient at Hennepin Tech.
So there you go. That's what you find inside the schools. So wonderful project. And again, we thank the school communication coordinators because they've been very helpful. It's a lot of logistics to set up a crew of Shannon, Mike, and our staff to go into the schools, do some recording, and turn those stories around. So again, great opportunity. We think what we're going to do next year, we're still in the discussion stages, is we may look at some of the private schools in the area and then look down the road of maybe revisiting half of the public schools in a year and half in another year. So more to come on that as we work with that with Shannon. You look up on the screen and you see over John's shoulder there a new Minnesota Viking, and this is a true hometown story. This is Jake Winicky, who played football for Maple Grove High School and played college football out in South Dakota. And here's the report of the great news he heard on draft day.
Maple Grove's Jake Winicky wasn't selected in the NFL draft that ended Saturday, but that was okay with the former Crimson and South Dakota State wide receiver. That's because the Minnesota Vikings made him a rookie free agent signing after the final round of the draft. We caught up with Jake earlier today.
It was pretty special, just celebrating with my family. So I got the call during the draft. There's about 5 picks left, and it was Coach Hazel, the wide receiver coach for the Vikings, and said, hey, if you don't get drafted in the last couple picks, do you want to be a Viking? I was like, yes, sir. And I just kind of didn't even seem like it was real. And then kind of the last 5 picks, I was like, I hope somebody else doesn't pick me. And then when the draft ended, just celebrated with my family, just knowing that I'd be a Viking. It was a pretty special feeling. I was a Vikings fan my whole life, watching Randy Moss, Chris Carter, all those guys, now Adam Thielen, and now to be a part of that team, I mean, it's just so special. I'm pretty surreal still, but I'm just really, really excited for it, really looking forward to being a Viking.
So he's hoping to follow Adam Thielen's footsteps as a small college person from Minnesota, be able to make it to the Vikings. And credit to John and Jay, who again have been with our staff for many, many years. And they know these students. They follow these students as they move on to college. And Jake was ready on the drop of a hat to come over and talk with us about it. So just the neat connections that they made over the years with some of the athletes, and that happens throughout our organization. The final look here, what you're looking at there, is a fire hose from the city of Golden Valley. One of the things that we've worked on through the Connection, which used to be Community Corner, is not only to do the regular short pieces to update on projects you're doing in the cities or events you're having coming up, but also look at giving the cities an opportunity twice a year to do a longer piece that's more of what we call an evergreen piece, something that can last for a long time. Some cities have chosen to do something about their community center to say, we have this great amenity in town, here's more about it and how you can use it. Golden Valley thought in their first to do something about firefighters, why volunteer firefighters are so important and the need to recruit. So here's a short clip of the recently completed piece.
I played sports my whole life. This is a huge team.
This team, we rely on each other for our lives, not just to win a game. And I wanted that type of camaraderie.
A lot of the things I was interested in, I ended up finding here.
What you can find here at the Golden Valley Fire Department is a great opportunity to serve your community. And if you have any doubts,
I have met so many people over the years of doing this that have said, I can't, only to prove them wrong.
I didn't think I could do this at all. I assumed when I showed up, there would be a bunch of huge beefcake dudes that would laugh at me, thinking that I could do it, but I showed up and to the meet and greet day, and they were all super welcoming. There are some beefcakes, but they're very nice. And everybody was amazing.
I didn't know if I could make it work with my life schedule. I was a full-time paramedic at the time. I had 2 kids. What I found out was that I was able to make adjustments in my life to make this work.
Doesn't that make you want to be a volunteer firefighter, right? So again, something that will play on our air, play on Channel 16 for the city of Golden Valley, but also a clip that will live forever on their website and on the firefighters' website as well. So that's the mission of some of those new longer pieces we're doing, is to give something that more is a longer look, something that can live for a long time and hopefully make a difference in your communities. So that's the update on programming. I'm going to turn it over to Barb here unless there are any questions.
Questions for Dave? Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Good Morning, everyone. I'm sneaking out of the control room this time. I've gotten moved from my corner office over there doing audio. We've got our new audio board, digital audio board up and working, and it's working like a charm this morning. A little bit about what's going on. Mike talked about our remodel, and Sean, you can go ahead and bring that up. Javi put together just a little video kind of showing the transition that we've made. We started the remodel project in December, and it finished on time the end of March. Go ahead and play it. And we were really lacking a lot of storage area. We didn't have desks for all of our employees, and so it was really wonderful. Mike gave us the opportunity to really work with Construct All, the company, to create a new environment that would work for our staff. And with Tamisha's amazing design qualities and Jamie's help, we were able to put together our new digs, and so we're really happy. They just put up all of the branding yesterday, so we were glad that went in place so that you guys could see that today. But just a little bit of our transition. We don't have to necessarily play the whole thing, but it was something else, and we're grateful to be able to have updated. Probably the thing that staff is most excited about is they all have desks that raise up and down now so that they can work standing up or sitting down. So that was there's a lot of shots of that I've noticed, so that was really exciting. And new carpet, awesome. Also a part of the remodel, we were able to do just some cosmetic things to our studios. Both of our studios now are painted black, which works out really great for production. We're also able to go in and update our edit rooms as well with new carpeting, and just really gave the whole building, a really nice fresh look. I think our volunteers are really proud to bring guests in now to the facility because it just looks amazing. Okay, and also another thing, Dave talked a little bit about our new website, and we have something that we're really excited about for CCX Create is we have now added video on demand for our programming on our website. So if you want to hit it, Sean, it kind of just shows an example. On the top of our website, you'll see a program guide, and we can basically, anybody can go into the program guide, click on it, it will bring up our program guide, and you can search for our programming. I'm using Sue Ellen's program as an example. You can type in a program name, hit search. It will bring up all of the episodes of BookBeat that are in our programming, and you'll notice some of them say Watch Now behind them. By clicking on Watch Now, you can click on it and you can watch from your phone, your tablet, your computer at home. And one thing, and Dave has done this successfully with, I think, through GovDelivery, is what we can also do, which is advantageous, is you can copy the URL at the top. You can then add that to an email, and our volunteers can then get the word out and actually have a video on demand link that they can send out to people who might be interested. It's just a way to get it out into the community. In the past, they've been able to watch obviously on our channels and on our live stream. This just gives a whole nother dimension to how people can watch our producers' programming. So we're excited about that. Go ahead, Sean. We have two special projects that are also going on. I know a lot of you are familiar with GovDelivery. News, Sports, and Cities has been working with GovDelivery, and we are jumping in as CCX Create into that as well. So soon we'll be adding information about just our classes, what's going on in our organization, and also we're going to be putting information out about our programming, hopefully encouraging people in our community to tune in or watch on demand. We also started, and Dave and I have been working on this nonprofit initiative for a while. I took a picture of Dave and Trudy, I guess. We've all kind of been working on putting together a list of all of the nonprofits in our area. So Trudy, our administrative assistant, is kind of looking through all the organizations that are listed, and we're kind of compiling a list, because what we'd like to do is become a resource for nonprofits. You know, a lot of them have a hard time getting words or information out on what they do in the community. They're trying to recruit volunteers. We want to find a way to help them through obviously using our channels, but really just assisting them with maybe their Facebook videos, YouTube videos, etc. So we are starting that initiative, so I'm sure there'll be more on both of these at our next meeting. Go ahead, Sean. I always like to just every once in a while throw in some program highlights of what our volunteers are doing. Now, I only have 5 and it's short, so I thought this would give you an idea of some of the things our volunteers have been working on. So go ahead, Sean. We've been working with Perpich Center for the Arts. Their students were so excited to come in and dance.
CEO is you, as former
Barry
mayor of
Zavan has been
Minneapolis,
keeping us
and
busy
so
with
many
a lot
incredible
of
things
big names
happened under
in and
your
around the Twin
guidance
Cities.
and
It's
under
been
your leadership.
fun.
Kind to say that.
True. Thank you.
So that you have a bit of a lip that will
I couldn't
catch
resist this one.
on
It's the
the
Lefse
grill.
King. We're from
So
Minnesota. He taught us a lot about Lefse, right, Sue Ellen?
Flip it over and roll it out. Bingo, bango, bongo.
And a little country music.
Want you here beside me, I want you here to stay. Could it be lonely, that I'm sad when you're away?
Welcome to Hip Hop Nation on First Row TV.
Hip Hop Nation,
I'm
a
your
lot
host,
of
William
big
Bay
name
Show Baker.
DJs.
And we are
We're
here
in.
for another series, another part of our Minnesota DJs, the evolution of them. As you see, we have some great DJs that's been there and done it. To my left,
I think it's really helped me understand.
And then
see
Juanita's
things
still at it,
a little bit
putting all of the
differently
cities.
than the average person coming into the
Right.
council.
So it takes a city council with a lot of different backgrounds is really good because it gives you different ideas than you might get from just everybody with the same kind of background.
Absolutely.
Our staff sees something different every day, makes the job fun. I also want to point out my talented staff. Javi attended a conference for the Wisconsin Community Media, and he was also there on hand to accept 3 awards. We received 2 Excellence Awards for productions that I've shown here in the past at our meetings. Javi received an award for the Connected Community Experience, which featured our volunteers. Nikki Jackett for a promo that she created, and then Tamisha Toure for her Power of Free Speech. So it was exciting to be recognized there. They video programming, it says at the bottom, a number of states submitted entries, and so we were proud. Very proud of my staff for those. We're now waiting on our national ACM awards to see if we have any winners in that national competition as well. So that is it. Any questions?
Thanks, Barb.
Thank
Questions
you
for
very
Barb?
much.
All right.
Madam Chair, just 2 quick things. We do have some statistical information at the end of your report. You see we're averaging about a little over 300,000 video clicks, and just to basically point out what Kate was saying, Hensing from our Comcast representative, that things are different in the world of cable and how people watch things. And Dave pointed out these links with your city websites. That's a game changer for us in terms of making it extremely simple for people to go to your homepage and click on aggregated content specifically for your city. That's a huge, huge deal, where they could see just, if you're in Robbinsdale, you're only going to see the Robbinsdale information. If you're Maple Grove, Osseo, so forth and so on. So we always have to be thinking about the future and how things are changing. Comcast is doing the same. They're always looking at what are viewership patterns like, what is the technology, what do we need to do to stay relevant and current. Bottom line is, we are storytellers here too, and it all starts with content. If you don't have content, nothing else matters. And what we do here is all local, hyper-local, and that is really the mission, is to have it that way. But to get it out there, we don't really care where, in the final analysis, like where where people see it, because we want them to see it. We're here to serve our cities, and that's why, you know, that's a benefit for the cities to have that on your homepage. So we're very excited about some of the other cities that'll be coming along and putting that link up there, and it's a very exciting time in terms of how this content is done and distributed, whether it's through Gov Delivery or these links on the channel. And so I want to thank all the staff involved. It's kind of it's like a group effort to make that all happen, and Dave's been coordinating that. I also want to mention that I want to thank Dave. He's been coordinating these interdepartmental meetings. It's a chance for all the different departments to see all the little details of what everybody else is doing. Everybody's so busy within their own departments, they don't necessarily get to stop and see what's happening in the other department. And so I think it's eye-opening sometimes for people to see and go, wow, I didn't know you guys did that or did that. And so it is amazing, and some of the staff who have presented so far have done some really great PowerPoints and added a little humor into it to make it interesting. So that has been going very, very well. So that's really all we have to say, and very exciting times here.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
That's it.
All right, I just want to congratulate Mike on his well-deserved retirement. Thank you to you and your department for doing a great job covering the cities. So I wish you a long, happy retirement, and Shannon, good luck. I'm looking forward to working with you more. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill.
Hi there, I'm Bill from the Cable Commission. Thanks for letting me speak at your meeting. Will you tell us more about the Eric Severide Awards that were won, what they are, and what are the Eric Severide Awards?
Sure. Well, for those of you who've been around in the, well, you're still a young guy there, Bill. But
thank you.
Eric Severide, of course, was. Let's see if I can find my. I definitely have a notepad here with the official listing, because I know they're out there. It is part of the Upper Midwest Broadcast Festival, which is a 5-state area, and these Severide. In fact, here it is, right here. So it's really a competition of us competing with broadcast stations, you know, KARE 11, CCO, and maybe some of the smaller market broadcast stations throughout the 5-state area. And in this particular case, we received a first place award for our cable newscast, best cable newscast in the. And we compete in a large market, which is interesting because really we are a subset of the Twin Cities. I mean, we have 9 cities. Population is 360,000 of a combined population. But so sometimes when we go into these awards, I know Shannon gets a little frustrated sometimes. It's like, wow, we have to compete, you know, with somebody who has budgets 10 times ours and staff size is that. But so it's really a nice pat on the back when you can compete in an awards competition like that. And so really it's the Midwest Broadcast Association that puts it on. And it's kind of an honorary award in honor of Eric Severide, who was I think he started out in journalism maybe even on WCCO radio, and then went on to become a journalist for CBS. So that's who Eric Severide is. He's long passed away, but they named this award in honor of him, and it's for journalistic integrity and all that. So it's very exciting. And so what we want to do is we want to get and now we just found out about the Midwest Awards for the Create Department. We would like to get like a news release out there and tell people about that, because it is definitely an honor to get those awards. Also received a first place, if you recall, John Jacobson was announcing a game with Maple Grove. I think we showed you the clip last fall where was it 3 or 4 touchdowns, Dave? That they scored within a minute, or it was just crazy. Anyway, that went viral, and his play-by-play call on that won a first place awards in sports. So that's in large market. Again, that's us competing with all the large market TV stations within the 5-state area. And then we also received an award of merit for a piece on Volunteer Appreciation Week, and then also an award of merit for a Sports Hall of Fame show that we did. As you know, we have this Sports Hall of Fame over on the other side of the building, and a special show was made for that, and so that was recognized as well.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you earlier, Bill.
Well, I'm a guest. Thank you.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.